BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
What's happening, everyone? We're back this weekend after a little week break. Nice fight night. Machado taking on Carlos Prates. And what I can tell you about this fight night is this is a great fight night card. Compared to the last few that we've been getting, man, those have been brutal. This is a great card, top to bottom. Even some of the prelim fights, the main card, it's really good. I don't mind this kind of card. For a fight night, like, this is a great fight night card. I love this. But when you're trying to feed me Steve Ursig and Moreno and Josh Emmett, three losses in a row. Like, what's happening here? And Ursig, he's I'm not feeling that. But Ian Machado Garry taking on Carlos Prates. Man, this is a sick fight. Yeah, man, let's get straight to it. I really like this card as a fight night too. This is a great fight night card, man. I'm really excited here. So, Machado Garry, this guy came into the UFC absolutely flawless, undefeated, was just crushing guys. Mostly decision victories, right? Most of his wins were decision victories, but he had a couple finishes, right? He head kicked Daniel Rodriguez, D-Rod, but D-Rod had a couple losses in a row. And, I think he knocked out Kenan Song as well. His fight with Neil Magny, he completely dominated Neil Magny, was just leg kicking the crap out of Neil Magny, and Neil Magny couldn't even stand. So that was a very, very dominant performance. And you might look like, Carlos Prates knocked out Neil in the first round, and Ian Machado Garry went the distance. Yeah, but it's styles make fights. Ian Garry is not the knockout striker of a Carlos Prates, but he completely dominated Neil Magny and almost finished him with leg kicks. And then his last fight was probably the toughest fight of his entire career, and notably probably the best fighter he's ever fought in Shavkat Rakhmonov. 18-0, 18 finishes or whatever it was. It was crazy. Like, he was on a crazy win streak, finishing everybody, but could not finish Ian Garry. Now, Shavkat, his last few fights, he has been looking to take less damage on the feet and grapple more, right? You've seen that with the Wonder Boy fight. You've seen that with the Jeff Neal fight. Or, sorry, not the Jeff Neal fight. You've seen that with the Ian Garry fight. He was looking to grapple a little more the last 2 fights, not looking to stand and exchange like he was doing with the guys like Jeff Neal and the Harrises, the Alex Oliveras. But yeah, man, Shavkat Rakhmonov, absolute monster. I hope he gets that title shot after. The issue is now he missed the title shot, Shavkat. And what happens if Bilal loses a close fight? Then they might do a rematch. Or what happens is Islam might move up and fight for the title. So now Shavkat's going to be delayed. And now they're putting in Sean Brady. Sean Brady's currently ranked number 1, I believe, over Shavkat Rakhmonov, which I don't really agree with. I believe Shavkat should be 1, Sean should be 2, but Sean Brady beat Leon Edwards, so I guess they put him ahead of Shavkat. But Shavkat is undefeated, and he is next in line, in my opinion, for the title shot. And they should give it to him if he, when he comes back. I believe he's earned that right, especially beating Ian Garry. And it was a close fight, but Ian Machado Garry showed you how good of a defensive grappler he is. He's not a very good offensive wrestler, but he's got good defensive wrestling, and he can use that defensive wrestling to get on top the way he did with Shavkat. Even took Shavkat Rakhmonov's back. Very, very impressive. And that's, in this fight, Ian Garry has to grapple here. And I know he doesn't like to all the time, but he might be forced to here. Sort of with the same similar fight to Michael Venom Page. When Ian Garry fought Michael Venom Page, he ate a couple of those straight right hands, and all of a sudden he turned grappler real quick. He might have to do that here as well. The issue here is Carlos Prates is much better in defensive grappling than a Michael Venom Page. Michael Venom Page is a very good striker, probably one of the best strikers in the UFC, but he's got no ground game. So and Carlos Prates, his ground game is decent. I've seen him hit a nice butterfly sweep in one of his first fights. It was beautiful. He got taken down. I believe it was on the Contender Series. I forgot who he was fighting. This was Mitch something. Was it Ramirez? Let me check here. Yeah, Mitch Ramirez. So Mitch Ramirez took him down. And Carlos Prates hit a beautiful butterfly sweep. And that's hard to hit in MMA. Beautiful butterfly sweep. So he's got some sweeps off his back. Decent jiu-jitsu. His wrestling defense could be better. But I'm sure those fighting nerds are working on it. So, when I first seen this fight, I was like, man, the grappling of Ian Garry is going to give Carlos a hard time, and he might. But to keep that grappling up for 5 rounds, for 5-minute rounds, it's tough. It's very tough to wrestle like that for 5-minute rounds, unless your name's Merab Dvalishvili. And these fighting nerds, what I will tell you about these fighting nerds, they are insane right now. I believe they're like 19-0 in the UFC. Him, Mauricio Rufy, Carlos Prates, Mauricio Rufy, Gene Silva, and Kyle Bohalio. They're all undefeated right now. These guys haven't lost. And I was doing some research into their gym and how the way they train, and they have a whole scientific approach. They have this guy he's sort of the nerd behind the nerds, and he's literally on the computer all day just watching. In this case, he's just watching Ian Garry fights, and he's just breaking down Ian Garry's movements to just a science, and they're just finding tendencies and things he likes to do, and they're just breaking it down, and clearly it's been working for all their fighters. So the fighting nerds are doing something incredible right now. I believe the fighting nerds might be one of the best up-and-coming gyms in MMA right now, and they're the team to look out for. And that is why I'm going to go with Carlos Prates, because after doing some research into these fighting nerds and seeing that nerd behind the nerds and the studying they're doing and breaking this fighting stuff down to a science, it's really incredible. So that is why I'm going to go with Carlos Prates. I think those nerds are going to do the right game plan. I think if Ian Garry thinks he's going to go in there and strike with Prates, very, very good striker. Spent a lot of time in Thailand, lots of Muay Thai. He's got a bunch of professional kickboxing fights as well, and he smokes cigarettes. So I'll go with Carlos Prates on this one, but don't be surprised if this fight does go the distance, because I know Carlos Prates doesn't. He's got like 10 knockouts in a row, but Ian Garry's super, super high level, and he's very good and hanging in there. So he might be hard to finish, and he can really turn up the grappling at any point. So this fight might go to decision. If it does end early, it's probably Prates finishing the fight here. So I'll go with Carlos Prates because those nerds are on a roll. That's the main reason I'm taking Prates, is because these nerds, 19-0, they're doing something special. So, yeah. So, next fight, we got Anthony Smith taking on Zhang Mingyang. Do I believe this fight should be a co-main event? I do not. Should it be on the main card? Sure. But the fact that you got Anthony Smith coming off what? He's lost 3 out of his last 4, coming off 2 straight losses, and now he's in a co-main. Can't we put him on the main card, first fight or something? Co-main. All right, I guess so. Now you're taking on Zhang Mingyang. He's been on a roll too. I think he's 11 wins in a row. A lot of those being knockouts. The guy's been just finishing everybody. Looking really good. These Chinese fighters up and coming at the PI in China, they're doing some work down there. So, yeah, Anthony Smith's time up. That's the issue, Anthony Smith. I like Anthony Smith, but hopefully this is his last fight, man, because I think time's up for him, and now you're fighting a guy 26 years old. You know, how old is Anthony now? Anthony's, 36, so yeah, 10 years younger. Tough fight for Anthony, man. I think this one, hopefully, it's his last fight, especially if he gets finished early. Hopefully, he cuts it, because Zhang Mingyang, he's got heavy hands, and he's going to be looking to finish. Up next, we got Giga Chicad taking on David Onama. Giga Chicad, great striker, high level. He's a guy who's, I believe he's fought in Glory, K1. Actually, I'm not sure about K1, but definitely Glory kickboxing. He's a very, very high level kickboxer. And he's got some pretty big wins. He's, finished Cub Swanson, knocked out Edson Barbosa. To knock out Edson Barbosa. Edson Barbosa is a very, very good striker, and he finished Edson Barbosa. His last fight against Arnold Allen, not that great performance, but Arnold Allen is an absolute savage, and I think Arnold Allen is much better than a David Onama. David Onama, he's a good fighter. He's got a nice little win streak, but he just hasn't fought the level of competition of a Giga Chicad. So, yeah, he's the favorite going into this because he's on a little roll. Giga hasn't been looking too great lately, but he's fighting way better competition. Like, David Onama, his last few fights, he beat Roberto Romero, Jonathan Pierce. Okay, Jonathan Pierce, not bad. Gabriel Santos, lost to Nate Lander. Not big names. Giga Chicad, he fought last fight Arnold Allen. Before that, beat Alex Caceres, fought Calvin Kattar, Edson Barbosa, Cub Swanson, Omar Morales. Like, he's fought much better competition and much more experienced in the striking department, especially if this is going to be a kickboxing match. If David Onama wants to win, he's got to grapple here. The thing is, David Onama, he's not really known as a very high-level wrestler. So we'll see. He does have some submissions. He's got a couple submissions on him, 4 submission wins. But, yeah, I think I'm going to go with the underdog on this one. I'm going to go with the Giga Chicad. I think the experience, and I think he's a better striker. So if this fight stays on the feet, I think this is Giga's fight to win. So I'll go with the underdog on that one, Giga Chicad. This one, Michel Pereira taking on Abus Magomedov. This is a great fight. This is going to be exciting. Michel Pereira, this is a guy, he's doing backflips. Just super exciting to watch. He was on a nice little roll, too. He had a bunch of wins in a row. I think it was he had 8 wins in a row or something. And then he's been looking great at middleweight. And then his last fight, he fought Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. And Anthony Fluffy Hernandez is an absolute monster. The guy doesn't get tired. He's like Merab at middleweight. Doesn't get tired. Great jiu-jitsu game. Great striking game. Puts on a pace on guys. And, Fluffy Hernandez, I want to see him fighting the top guys soon. Because he is, for real, is Fluffy Hernandez. I'd like to see Fluffy Hernandez take on like Imavov or something. That's a great fight. Fluffy versus Imavov. And I think Imavov is ranked 1 now, so maybe he's got to get one more before he gets up there. But he beat Brandon Allen convincingly, beat Michel Pereira. So yeah, Michel Pereira had a nice little win streak. And now he's fighting Abus Magomedov, who's coming off 2 wins in a row. Beat Bruno Ferreira. That was impressive. Beat Warley Alves. Okay, not too impressive there. But, before that, he lost to Kyle Bohalio. And Sean Strickland absolutely crushed him, finished him. And that's like one of the only people you'll see Sean Strickland actually finish. Because Strickland doesn't really knock too many people out. But he knocked out Abus Magomedov. Abus Magomedov, he's a guy who likes to come out strong, usually come out fast. Same with Pereira. I'm going to go with Michel Pereira on this one. I think he's just been looking better. He did have a bad loss to Fluffy, but Fluffy's an absolute monster, and I think Fluffy would run through Magomedov as well. And what favors Pereira in this one is it's only 3 rounds. So you don't have to go the full 5. And 25 minutes for a guy like Michel Pereira, fast twitch muscle guy. Cardio isn't the best, but I think in a 3-round fight against a guy like Abus, who doesn't really like to push the pace either, and he's known for slowing down in later rounds as well, so I'm going to go with Michel Pereira on that one. Slight favorite, minus 140. Not bad. Randy Rude Boy Brown taking on Nicholas Dalby. Rude Boy coming off a split decision loss to Brian Battle. Before that, he had a nice couple wins. Yeah, he's been looking decent. Randy Brown is a great striker. Very long, lean for that weight class. 6'3", is big for 170. And he does have an age advantage. Nicholas Dalby is 40 years old, but don't let that 40-year-old age fool you, because his last fight, he fought Hanat Fakhretdinov, who I think at the time was like 23-2 or something crazy. Like, Hanat Fakhretdinov is a monster. And it was a split decision. It was a close fight. He lost the split decision to Hanat Fakhretdinov. But before that, he was on a roll. Finished Gabriel Bonfim, one of the Bonfim brothers. Yeah, this fight, I'm leaning a little towards Randy Brown. If he can be technical, stay on the outside. He's definitely the more technical striker out of the two. So I'll give Randy the striking edge. If the fight gets into a grappling, I'm sort of leaning towards Dalby. Dalby I consider more of he's just a dog, man. He'll take one to get one. He'll be in your face all day. I wouldn't be surprised if Nicholas Dalby wins this fight. I'm sort of leaning towards Rude Boy. If he can sort of stay on the outside, pick him apart, it's his fight to win. But don't be surprised if Dalby wins this fight, because Dalby is a live dog in this fight. And the fact that he's plus 210, those are pretty good odds for a guy like Dalby. He's been looking pretty good lately, man. He's got, 4 wins in his last 5 fights, and that one loss, it was a split decision loss to Hanat Fakhretdinov, so Fakhretdinov legit as it gets. So Dalby, live dog in that one. Up next, Ikram Aliscarov taking on Andre Muniz. Tough fight for Andre Muniz. Andre Muniz, great jiu-jitsu guy. His jiu-jitsu is absolutely savage. But you're not going to be able to use your jiu-jitsu if you can't get the fight to the ground. That's the issue with this fight. It's just a bad stylistic matchup, because Ikram Aliscarov, definitely the better striker to the two, but he's very difficult to take down. It's the only guy I've ever seen, Khamzat Chimaev. He stuffed Khamzat's takedowns in the first round. He's one of the only guys I've seen stuff Khamzat's takedowns. I've never seen anyone stuff Khamzat's takedowns. That's crazy. But Ikram did. Ikram was stuffing his takedowns. Now he ended up getting knocked out after with an uppercut. But either way, he was stuffing some takedowns. And, he's a gold medalist in Sambo, world champion. Great grappling. So he's going to be able to avoid the grappling here of Andre Muniz. And he's going to be angry because Ikram Aliscarov is coming off probably the worst loss of his career, or one of them, to Robert Whittaker there. That was early in the first round. He just got finished by Whittaker. And, Andre Muniz, he's got great jiu-jitsu. Submitted Jacare Souza. That's a big name to submit. Submitting Jacare. Submitting Eric Anders. So those are pretty impressive, but unfortunately Ikram Aliscarov probably won't even be able to get Ikram to the ground. So now you're forced to strike with Aliscarov, and I just think he's a much, much, much better striker than Andre Muniz. Andre Muniz is very one-dimensional. Striking is not very good at all. So clearly big favorite. Aliscarov should take that one. Matt Schnell taking on Jimmy Flick. This is, not too impressed here. I'm not too impressed with Matt Schnell at all. Matt Schnell's got, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4 losses in his last 5 fights, and your one win was over Sumadarji. And now you're fighting Jimmy Flick, who's not very good either. I literally don't even care about this fight, I'll be real with you. Matt Schnell is very good. He's a good technical striker, but he lacks the chin. So I don't know about that one, but I don't really care for this one, but I'm leaning a little towards Schnell. I think it's just a bit more technical, but his chin is sus, very sus. Evan Elder, the Phenom, 2 wins in a row. Taking on Gage Young. I haven't really seen too much of this Gage Young guys. only fought once. I've seen him fight on the Contender Series. Lost his fight on the Contender Series and had another performance in, I believe it was FAC. Won that fight, and now UFC is giving him a shot against Evan Elder. And Evan Elder has a couple fights in the UFC, so he's got the experience. So I'll go with Evan Elder because he's got a little more experience and higher level competition. And last one I'll touch on here is Chris Gutierrez, El Guapo, taking on John Castanada. First time I really, Chris Gutierrez came on my radar was he fought Vince Morales back in 2020 and completely destroyed Vince Morales with leg kicks, finished him with leg kicks. And I was like, dang, that's hard to do. And then he fought a few more, racked up a bunch of wins in a row. And then he fought Frankie Edgar, destroyed Frankie Edgar with this flying knee to the face. Knee to the face. Then he ended up fighting Song Yadong, lost a unanimous decision to Song and Pedro Munoz, but huge step down in competition. If you're fighting guys like Song Yadong, Munoz, Frankie Edgar, now you're fighting John Castaneda. So I think I'll go with Chris Gutierrez on that one, but this one will be close. And those are your picks. If you guys need a place to bet. Oh, and I'll go Damon Blackshear as well. He's a big favorite as well. Damon, Malcolm. And I don't even care about the other ones. But not a bad card. And if you guys need a place to bet, BetUS promo code Iceman. We're giving out the best promos in the game. I'm going to help you out as much as I can for everyone who uses my promo code. So tune in and let's make some money. Out.